The next day, Mike Fallon sat in his apartment reading the morning newspaper, breakfast sitting on the coffee table. The night before, Alex and Croyd had stormed into Club FSM and worked over the Kabhi Hamja Rajmanapur for information. There they had gotten the name Fallon, the man who'd been there at the outbreak. Before it ever happened, they had figured out he was the one responsible. Fallon had killed hundreds of people in a single day. If he had cured some, it really didn't matter. It didn't come close to balancing out in the end. Alex figured he was behind Kira's disappearance as well. Maybe she had found out what he was up to and knew why he was doing it. Behind Fallon, locked in the cage he had put her in, was Kira. She appeared to be going through a metamorphosis and had sprouted young multicolored winglets. Grasping the cage, she gave it a rattle and shouted "hey" to get Mike's attention. Whatever the case was, Alex thought, they had to save Kira. She stared at the breakfast sitting on the coffee table longingly. Once she had grabbed Mike's attention, she told him, "I'm kinda hungry over here, and that bacon smells really good." Setting the paper down, Fallon grabbed the food tray. Turning, he said, "Good morning, Kira," and began using his power to phase the tray through the cage. He asked, "Did you sleep well?" Responding, Kira stated that she would have slept better in an actual bed. "I know," Mike said apologetically. "I am sorry about the kennel." A thought came to Fallon. He switched the topic, directing to a previous conversation of theirs. He had been thinking about it and told her he had come to an understanding about why she was internally confused. "It's your guilt, isn't it?" he said, like a person drawing a conclusion out loud to themselves. He leveled a questioning gaze at her while looking to see her reaction. She stammered, "I don't," but before she could add anything further, he continued on in an accusatory tone. "You brought the jacket to the school. You introduced the virus. What happened to you and the others? You are responsible for it." "No, it was an accident," she said quickly. "I didn't mean—" Mike cut her off. Patronizing her, he said, "Of course you didn't." He manipulated her, expertly telling her she had to let go of her guilt and forgive herself and not let the past rule her. He stood and turned away and reached into his pocket. Musing aloud, he said, "I don't know who I would have been without the wild card, but that life is lost to me now." He withdrew his hand from his jacket, now holding a vial of the Trunp Virus, and said to her, "I'm not going to kill you, Kira." He held out the vial so she could see it and said, "No, I have something to give you." He set it down on the side table in front of her and continued, "My project won't last forever, Kira, only until my supply of Trump runs out, but I'm holding this one vial for you so that you have the option." She stared at the vial in his hand and simply asked him, why, not understanding his intentions. Elaborating, she asked, "Why give me the choice? It's not like you're doing that for any of the others, so why me?" He replied coolly, "You are not like them." He walked over to the front door, paused for a moment before looking back over his shoulder and stated calmly, "You're like me." Leaving it at that, he began phasing through the door to leave the apartment. "Hey," Kira yelled after him. Mike halted briefly and said her name back in question. Pitifully, she looked at him, and after an awkward moment of silence, she said, "Be careful, okay?" Pausing, he gave her a quick glance and a nod, saying nothing further before continuing to phase through the door. With the coast clear, he finished phasing through the apartment door and emerged into the hallway of the building complex. Mike quickly made his way out of the building complex and out onto the morning streets of Jokertown. Pedestrian traffic filled the bustling streets of Jokertown. Mike, on his way to work at the clinic, blended seamlessly into the crowd and began walking with the flow. Alex and Croyd didn't know where Fallon was. They didn't need to, though, as they knew where he would end up going. The Jokertown clinic, and when he got there, they would be waiting. While keeping an eye on the clinic entrance, Alex told Croyd that he still hadn't seen any sign of him, then suggested that they should contact Simon as he could watch from inside the clinic. "No," Croyd emphatically shot back. "No one else, especially not the fat kid. He's too involved already." "Simon's on our side, besides which he needs to know that Fallon's the killer," Alex pleaded, but it didn't budge Croyd's needle one bit. "He'll find out when everyone else does," Croyd said, before adding in a slightly harsher tone. "And no one is on anyone's side, kid. Afraid that's just not how it works." Croyd glanced up at Alex as he fumbled with his speed pills. "That fat kid could go to the cops. Hell, he might even be working with Fallon. You don't know. And stop looking at me. Watch the damn street." "Oh, sorry," Alex muttered as he turned to resume his watch on the clinic entrance. Alex had never been around anyone who used drugs the way Croyd did, let alone someone who stayed awake for days at a time. He was clueless and had no idea what to expect from him. He trusted him though. Croyd knew what he was doing. Just then Alex spotted Fallon. "Croyd, he's here!" Unaware of the pair laying in wait, Fallon casually strolled toward the clinic's main entry. Alex hurriedly confirmed that it was indeed him. "So how do we get close to him without alerting him?" he began to ask, but with a loud roar of "son of a bitch," Croyd charged out of the alley. He rushed directly at Fallon, claw pincers out. Ready to throw down, he roared, "You're dead, you piece of shit! You're dead!" In a flash, the advantage of surprise was lost. Behind him, in stunned shock, all Alex could do was charge up his crimson lightning, ready to jump into the fray. Startled, not expecting the confrontation, Fallon was momentarily caught off guard. He grunted at the initial contact when Croyd barreled into him. Croyd's left claw pincer rammed into and through his chest with his right claw poised for a follow-up headshot. Unnoticed by Croyd, Fallon in the initial impact had enabled his phasing powers. Croyd's claw had gone right through, smashing and damaging the wall behind him but having no effect on Fallon. Releasing his right hook, Croyd watched in disbelief as his claw passed harmlessly through Fallon's face, slamming viciously into the wall with a loud crunch. With a deadpan look of intensity and the green phase glow on Fallon's face, he stared up at Croyd while the shattering wall debris rained down around them. While Croyd flailed about in his rage, Alex thought maybe he should have seen it earlier, maybe he should have always seen it from the very beginning. Croyd saw it clearly now and stepped back, horrified disbelief written on his face as he realized his hits were ineffective. Back then, Alex had been in a messed up place, lost. He needed to have someone there who had been through it, who knew. Fallon, having fallen into the damaged hole in the wall, lay there unharmed after everything Croyd had thrown at him. He grabbed for the wall, attempting to rise, his eyes showing a sinister glint while a smug smile flashed across his face. So what if he was popping pills like Tic Tacs, beating people half to death, and getting lost in his paranoia? Alex decided it was go time. Charged up, he slid in and delivered a blazing shock of crimson electricity before Fallon could get fully back to his feet. Croyd stood there dismayed, his claws held before him knowing physical attacks were useless. Alex wondered if he was becoming more like Croyd. Maybe this aggression had always been in him, or perhaps the rage came with the virus itself. Broken, Alex thought. He was willing to kill or die. He needed someone who had felt the same things, someone to connect with. Fallon's grin spread wider, realizing his phasing ability was also protecting him from being hit by Alex's barrage of electrical discharges. Alex threw every bit of juice he could muster. Crimson Electric arced wildly, yet Fallon rose to his feet, fists clenched, defiant in the face of their onslaught, while engulfed by pulsing waves of electricity. Croyd had been there all that time. Alex just hadn't seen it, and he knew then that he'd picked the wrong guy. There was a momentary stalemate as Croyd and Alex stood there dumbfounded, unsure of their next move. Fallon, unfazed, showing no apparent damage taken, began to reach for something inside his coat pocket. Fallon glared at them, a cocky grin and a knowing look in his eyes as he produced and held up a syringe-like ballpoint pen. They both stood there baffled and unsure what the hell he planned to do next. In a swift rush, Fallon lunged straight at Croyd, gleefully slamming the pen deep into his bicep. Croyd's eyes bulged wide in disbelief as he stood there in utter shock, unable to stop it. "Ah!" Croyd yelled out in agony as pain lanced through his arm, blood oozing from the wound. A smug, dead-eyed look washed over Fallon's face as he watched Croyd suffer in arrogant satisfaction. "Son of a bitch, that hurts!" he cried out, clutching his damaged arm while falling to his knees. Alex moved in to assist, reaching out to support Croyd. Using the distraction, Fallon partially phased through the damaged wall, beginning to make his escape. Seeing this, Alex cried out to Croyd, "He's getting away!" The altercation outside had aroused clinic staff, including Chief Security Officer Troll, who came piling out to investigate the commotion. "He got away, kid. He's gone now. If you want another shot at him, you'll do the same," Croyd told Alex as they both fled from the scene. "But," Alex stammered out, hesitating while Croyd continued down the street, dashing away, blood dripping from his wounded arm. He yelled back, "Come on!" and Alex followed after him. Meanwhile, as the scuffle outside was starting to take place, within the clinic, Simon's voice is heard coming from inside an empty room. "Find the girl," he tells himself aloud. "Concentrate on finding the girl." In the ensuing commotion outside, Alex didn't think of calling Simon to let him know about Fallon. Shifting view inside the room, Simon stands before the sink, beginning his dive into the mirror world, hands and face partially passing through while repeating her name aloud. Kira Apfelbaum, Kira Apfelbaum, Kira the maggot girl. I can do this! With the image of Kira set firmly in mind, Simon passed through and into the mirror world. Slowly he began to emerge, arms first in a room his ace ability had directed him to. Simon had most of his body pass through the large mirror placed above a side table. Now he could see he had emerged into what appeared to be an apartment room with a large animal cage on the floor in front of him. Fully through the mirror, Simon began tiptoeing around the room silently, not knowing who might be there and not wanting to alert anyone by waking up the animal in the cage. He quietly began checking the place out. Making a hasty circuit through the room, Simon finds nobody there. "Ah!" he exclaimed, startled by a dog mask hanging from a wall peg next to the front door. What a stupid place to put a mask! Roused by the noise, a single verbal intonation comes from the cage. "Simon?" Quickly bending down before the cage, Simon pushed his face up against it, coming face to face with Kira. Astonished to see him, she sputtered, How did you get in here?" "I knew it. I knew you didn't just bail," Simon exclaimed audibly in self-satisfaction. "Damn, I'm smart sometimes." Moving over to the cage lock, he swiftly began to examine it. "Simon," Kira said, "you've got to go. Get help," she implored. Fearful Fallon could return at any moment. Overly confident, Simon continued, No, it's cool. I can totally get this open, I think," he said while fumbling with the lock. Kira pressed on, desperation in her voice and fear in her eyes. "It's Fallon," she revealed. "He's killing people." Urgently she pleaded, "You've got to call the police." Singly focused on freeing her, Simon worked on the cage lock, replying back offhandedly, "Yeah, okay, just give me a second here." "I'm pretty sure I can get this," he mumbled unconcerned. "If I can just—" There was no time for this, Kira thought. He's not listening. Frantically, panic in her voice, she shouted his name. "Simon!" followed forcefully with, "Now!" "Fine," he replied, irked by her insistence. Getting back up to his feet, he glanced around the room for a phone. "I'll call first if you want. Whatever." On the edge of hysteria, she begged him, "Hurry!" I said, "Okay, all right," he told her, peeved at her persistent demands. "I just need to find a phone so I can—" Then he noticed the missing dog mask no longer hanging on the wall peg. He stood there staring at the empty peg. Huh, that's weird. He was sure it had been there, just moments before, he thought to himself. Unknown to Simon, the killer was standing right behind him. Fallon, now wearing the dog mask, glared at his back in menacing silence. Bang! A loud concussive shot rang out. Simon's eyes widened in utter shock and disbelief as he felt the bullet rip through him. Grasping at the wound in his abdomen as blood began oozing out from it, he turned slowly in pain and faced the dog-masked Fallon holding the pistol. "Hey, you didn't have to— That really?" Simon spluttered out. "Simon, no!" He heard Kira cry out desperately from behind him. He fell in a heap, face first to the floor with a thud as blood began seeping into the carpet. "But you don't understand," Simon continued. Fallon stood there over the dying boy's body, acrid gun smoke rising from the entry wound, staring as the bloodstain grew larger. His life was fading away fast. He weakly reached upward, groping, trying to grab at Fallon's leg. Strength leaving his body and a hollow, dumbfounded look on his face. In a hushed, hurt voice, he uttered, "This isn't supposed to happen." A tear rolled from his eye as everything went black, and with a final breath, Simon quietly whispered his last agonized words. "I'm an ace." Meanwhile, across Jokertown, in one of Croyd's bolt holes, the aftermath of the clinic plays out between Alex and Croyd. Alex was exhausted and scared. He still hummed with adrenaline and pent-up anger. Fallon had gotten away, but it wasn't over yet. Croyd sat on the couch, arm dangling limply. A first aid kit was open on the table while Alex retrieved a pair of pliers. "Give it here, kid," Croyd said. Alex never doubted they could beat Fallon. They were aces after all. Alex handed the pliers over to Croyd. "Good, now pass me that towel," he added. Being aces, we could do anything. Croyd, using the pliers, grabbed a hold of the pen, lodged deep in his arm. With a swift yank, he pulled it free. "Ugh!" he cried out in pain as blood splattered from the wound. "Ah, damn!" Croyd exclaimed after the pen had been extracted. Alex asked if he was okay. "I just yanked half my damn arm out, kid," he testily replied. "Don't ask stupid questions." "So what do we do now? Find him?" Alex asked as Croyd tried popping the cap off a pill bottle with his teeth. "Remember what I just said about stupid questions?" he shot back, increasingly vexed as he struggled with the bottle. Yes, we find him. Just let me fill the tank here a little, he replied, muttering further about his supply being old, out-of-date crap. But, I mean, how do we do that? Alex retorted, growing frustrated. He could be anywhere. The cap on the pill bottle finally popped off. Could check the phone book, Croyd suggested nonchalantly. Alex grabbed the phone book and started searching. Seriously, he's not just going to be in the... Well, holy shit, he said, stunned upon finding a listing. Croyd tossed the empty pill bottle away, saying, well, don't get happy yet, kid. He reached over, grabbing the phone book from Alex. It could still be bullshit. Alex looked up questioningly at him. What are you gonna do? He asked. Watch and learn, kid. Sporting a huge grin, Croyd grabbed the phone, punched in some numbers, and waited for the call to go through. When he heard the pickup click, he began. Yes, is this the Jokertown clinic? Yes, can I speak to the personnel department? I need to confirm an address. Thank you. The call transferred. Yes, this is Mum Buffram from Stocky Attic Instruments. I need to confirm our address for Michael Fallon. He recited the address from the phone book. I have 256 West 26th Street, number 413. Okay, is that a mailbox or residence? Great, thanks. He hung up the receiver with a click and mumbled idiot, having confirmed the information. Croyd turned away. First lesson, people are stupid, trust in that and it'll never let you down, he instructed Alex. Now just give me a couple minutes to clot. Anxiously, Alex suggested, we have to hurry though. If Kira, bluntly, Croyd interrupted, she's dead, kid. We don't know that, Alex shot back, leveling an entreating gaze at Croyd. Oh, give it a rest, Croyd said roughly. Psycho Killer Shrink's had her for a couple of days now. The only way she's not dead is if he's getting off on torturing her, he added grimly. If she's lucky, she snuffed it. Croyd flopped back down on the couch and continued his verbal hammering. What? You thought we were going to rush in and save everybody? Be big damn heroes. What country do you live in, kid? But... we're aces, Alex said seriously. Yeah, who gives a shit? Croyd snapped back. Harshly, Croyd lashed into him. You think because you drew an ace and she got a joker, you're responsible for her. Alex closed his eyes and hung his head, feeling guilt and shame again as the words cut deep. You drew an ace and all those other kids died or turned into freaks. Like there must be a reason. Croyd's tongue lashing intensified. That's it, right? You must have a destiny. God must have singled you out for something because you didn't die. Well, listen up, kid. Get over it. Thoughts and images flooded unbidden into Alex's mind as Croyd mercilessly railed at him. You know why your brother died bad and you got powers? Because you got lucky and he didn't. That's it. You want to know why you should live when they all died? Here's the answer, kid. You shouldn't. The reality check was a brutal onslaught. You aren't better than them. You aren't smarter. You aren't purer of heart. You aren't anything all those dead kids weren't. You don't deserve to live, and they didn't deserve to die. His tone calmed, but still held an edge. It's never about what you deserve. Alex sat feeling miserable, but long overdue and needing to hear the hard truths. You think I care why this son of a bitch drew an ace and a million decent people are living on the street or getting cancer or whatever? Who cares? Croyd lamented. I'm gonna tie his ass cheeks in a knot. Make sure the next nutjob thinks twice before messing with me. He wavered then and reached a hand up to his temple, rubbing his forehead before finally mumbling, never about justice. You know, I'm feeling a little. He reached out, steadying himself using the back of the couch. You really think Kira's dead then? Alex asked him. Croyd glanced over and questioned, who? Oh, right, yeah, probably is, Croyd said back to Alex. We'll find out when we get there. Meanwhile, in Fallon's apartment, inside her cage, Kira weeps over the tragic death of Simon. Fallon sat on the couch, his hand to his face in deep thought, considering his next move given the recent attack by Alex and Croyd at the clinic, and now Simon, lying dead on his living room floor having found his way into his apartment. The situation had quickly spiraled out of control. He turned and looked over at Kira for a moment, her weeping having pulled him out of his contemplation. Kira stared in horror at the dead body of Simon, sobbing unconsolably. Fallon knew the time had come. They were on to him now, his identity compromised. He rose from the couch. They're coming, he said aloud. The attack at the hospital. Now this, I thought. I thought I'd have longer, he said, crouching down in front of the cage and looking directly at Kira. I wanted to do so much more. He reached one of his hands up to the cage and wrapped it around Kira's. Why did you have to kill him? She pleaded through her sobs. Why didn't you just let him go? He never did anything to you. Fallon stood, grabbed a chair, and took a seat near the front door, holding his shotgun, prepared for his apartment to be stormed. Turning back, he told Kira, "That's not how this works. He was an ace." Calmly, he added, "It's almost over, Kira, and believe me, it will be better this way." Shifting back to Alex at the bolt hole, he stands before the bathroom sink following the verbal barrage from Croyd. His mind races as thoughts and memories flood through him. When he was a kid, maybe 10 or 11, he'd gotten really sick with a 103 fever. He remembered it since it was the first time he had hallucinated. It was like being in a dream. There were people living in the walls. If he wasn't quiet, they'd find him. On the day before the fever broke, he'd snuck out of the house to get away from the walls. He leaned over the sink, head down, water running, thinking this situation felt similar to back then. It had all made sense at the time. It was only until the fever broke that he'd started to realize how sick he actually had been. Alex cupped water in his hands, splashed water over his face, and stared at his reflection in the mirror while playing back recent events in his mind. Now I'd watched my friends die. I'd held my brother in my arms while he died. I'd been shipped halfway across the country. I'd almost killed myself. I'd left the hospital. Reaching out, he grabbed a raggedy towel and buried his face in it. He was hanging out with Croyd Crenson, the sleeper, known criminal and speed freak. I was helping him assault witnesses and planning a vigilante revenge killing. An hour ago, that had all seemed perfectly sane. The fever was breaking, and he began to see how stupid, irresponsible, and dangerous he had been behaving. He finished and left the bathroom ready to push for a new direction with Croyd. He called out, "Hey Croyd, I was thinking, maybe we should call the cops. An anonymous tip thing. Let them shoot it out, you know?" The room was quiet and there was no immediate response. "Croyd," he called out, glancing around. The hardest thing about realizing you've been sick, been wrong, was coming back to reality. And finding out the people you were talking to, fighting with, worried about. Croyd. He called out again, still nothing. He began to search the place. We're never really there at all. He was nowhere to be found, realizing the only place he had not checked was behind the ratty couch. He walked over, took a sitting knee, and glanced over the back. That you've been on your own the whole time. And there he was, curled up, passed out, and beginning to snore. "Jack em up. Em awake. Bear. Juice a minute." "Aye," Croyd mumbled, followed by more light snoring. "Oh, that's just great," Alex proclaimed aloud.